Education journey in the Quincy School District. This video will introduce you to our Digital Education Handbook, which is your one-stop shop to find all of the resources that we have collected as a staff this year to learn these tools together. You will find videos, screen grabs, links, articles, lots of different things, but if it's here, it means that someone in our district has tried and tested it and found it to be a great strategy that can help you. First off, I just want to show you that you can find the Digital Education Handbook always at one click on your desktop on your school device. You can also access it from our Teaching and Learning SharePoint underneath the Digital Education Resources folder. Once you open the link, you will find a page like this. And I want to just show you a couple things first. What you see, the most part of the page is going to be one page. And you can think of these like the handbook you can think of as a whole like a digital binder. So if you had a regular binder right in front of you, you would have a bunch of loose leaf paper clipped in together. And so each page that you see here on the right-hand side is like one of those sheets of paper. On the left is how it's organized. And you can see all of these different tabs here that are color-coded. That would be like if you had a real binder, those tab dividers that would break your binder into sections. And the second column shows the pages that go inside of each tab, each divider, each section. You can also notice the color coding, and that is intentional as well, and we'll talk about that in just a second. The very first page you'll see is the introduction, which I'll add this video to, but it also reminds you what our core 4 tools are. These are the 4 tools that every teacher and student in our district are using, and that the district can provide the training and support for each of these tools. It's really important that you become very fluent in all 4 of these: Google Classroom, using Google Drive, Google Meet, and Loom. And myself, Sean, and the IT department, as well as the digital ed leads from your buildings are all there to support you as you work on implementing these 4 tools. If you have some questions about the vocabulary we use throughout this document, you can click here. And then as we go down, the next tab shows you the scales for digital ed. There's one that's related to professional development for you to reflect on your own growth and your skills and knowledge of using these tools. And then there's another one for students that you can use with your class to think, how are they learning to use and implement these skills? And you can see that the colors here relate to the colors in our handbook. So red is for beginning, yellow is developing, green are the applying skills, and then blue are those innovating level skills. As we move through the red section, there's a tab for professional development, which starts with some basic training. This is where you're going to want to go if you're just getting started. The cheat sheets are a PDF that you can print out that has step-by-step instructions for using all of the tools, the core 4 tools, as well as there's a student version of that. And then we have video tutorials we've created for staff and students that show the basic step-by-step of how to use each of the core 4 tools, as well as more advanced tools along the way, and especially related to translation and accessibility features on the Chromebook. And then we're continuing to add to those constantly every week. You can look down here for additional professional development resources if you're interested as well. The next red tab is our weekly updates, and that is where I am working with staff who share different ideas with me, putting those in one place. When Google sends out updated information to me, anything new that we have that we learn about, or new skills that are hot topics. Each week I create those into a digital ed newsletter that looks kind of like this, and I will add those here, as well as share them with principals who will be sending them out to you in their weekly letters. As you move into the developing level, you'll notice this core 4 tools starts off with many pages because it starts with the district guidelines for how each of these tools should be used. Pay careful attention to this one around recorded videos because you want to make sure that for your safety and the safety of your students, you are following those guidelines. And then there's also tips, best practices that teachers in our district have learned can help you better implement Google Classroom, Google Meet, using Loom in your class, and Google Drive. If, depending on your teaching assignment, you may have specific curriculum technology needs. For example, K2 is using Seesaw, and there's many resources here that the kindergarten and second grade teachers have put together and found helpful in their classrooms. I want to also point out this one about the troubleshooting tips. If you're teaching live on Google Meet and having trouble yourself with technology, or your students are, there's a page here with tips we put together to troubleshoot and solve problems for staff and students. And then one more place I want to point out to you is starting into the applying level, which is the classroom management tab. And here in the district guidelines, we have our remote learning behavior matrices, as well as the reactive plan of what happens if students do not meet those expectations. And then underneath, there's some tips for classroom management around digital jobs you can give students, things like that. And then the one I really excited about is the tips for reinforcing expected behavior. So if you want to provide some positive reinforcement digitally to your students, there's lots of resources here and ideas for you. We are adding each to these tabs constantly, so please check back often. And throughout here, there's many more things and resources. When you're ready, you can come and find them. And always, please, if you have an idea that you'd like added to the Digital Ed Handbook, please let me know, or your building rep. I hope this is helpful. Feel free to reach out if you have additional questions.